A fierce special operation by the General Staff. Nearly 1,000 targets in just 3 days. Unique footage of the secret Ashan special operation, which literally broke the backbone of Putin's army, has appeared online. Using a swarm of the latest drones and intelligence data, the defense forces, in just 3 days, destroyed 949 enemy targets, deep behind enemy lines. This devastating asymmetric strike caused panic among the Russians, forced them to withdraw their equipment, and completely halted their mechanized offensive for a full 6 months. This was stated by Ukraine's Minister of Defense, Mikhailo Fedorov.
A few weeks ago, we repeated this operation. This time, the main target was enemy artillery. It remains one of the main threats on the battlefield. That's why we started looking for a new solution. For the second stage of the operation, a new munition was developed to target artillery. The result, 231 targets hit, of which 170 were completely destroyed.
Just a few days ago, our soldiers gave the occupiers a second round of hell by using completely new munitions. This time, the main threat, Russian artillery, was blown to pieces. The result is simply incredible. 1,180 targets hit in 2 waves of attacks. Ukrainian high-tech and brilliant planning are delivering a total rout of the enemy.
In just 2 stages of Operation Ashan, the defense forces struck 1,180 enemy targets. Every such operation, it's not just about destroyed equipment. These are the enemy's disrupted plans, fewer opportunities for their offensive, and a greater chance to save the lives of our soldiers.
Russia's imperial appetites are starting to shrink rapidly. The propaganda mouthpieces are already openly hinting. Perhaps it's time to let go of Transnistria.
You wrote a post here that caused quite a serious stir about the withdrawal. Well, I don't know if we can talk about troop withdrawal. I don't know what status the troops have in our Transnistria, right? Groups, yes, to be more precise. The peacekeeping contingent from Transnistria.
We have no objective means or forces to defend Transnistria. People who received Russian passports in Transnistria have been fed bright hopes for about 30 years.
It turns out that holding on to foreign territories has become too expensive even for the Kremlin. Is this really a fuck-up? The first sign that Russia can no longer sustain its own ambitions.
Holding on to this enclave in such a situation, it seems to me, is irrational for Russia.
It seems that yet another imperial historical mission has ended the same way as the plans to capture Odessa and Kharkiv. And along with them, the talk about Russian Transnistria and the seizure of the rest of Moldova's territory has also faded.
Putin's approval rating is plummeting. Over the past 2 weeks, Russians have been criticizing the authorities more and more often, and trusting the words of the Kremlin's leader less and less. This is evidenced by data from state-run studies.
The reason for the drop in ratings? According to FOM data, the event of the week for most Russians was the gasoline shortage and its price increase. 20% of respondents named this topic. For comparison, 18% of respondents named the special military operation as the main event of the week. And 12% mentioned the shelling of Russian territories.
Moreover, even sociologists close to the Kremlin are recording an alarming signal for Putin. According to data from the Public Opinion Foundation, the level of trust in the Russian dictator dropped from 71% to 69% in just a few days. It seems that the gasoline crisis, economic problems, and the war are hitting not only Russians' wallets harder and harder, but also the ratings of the Kremlin's master himself.
For the first time, the trend appears to be systemic. This is perhaps the main conclusion. When the consequences of the war are increasingly felt within Russia itself, support for the war begins to decline faster than propaganda and television can compensate for.
The whole world is talking about this today. Don't miss it. Next, we'll talk about Kazakhstan's blow to Russia, Ukraine's historic triumph, and harsh retribution for Moscow. Let's watch.
The Kremlin is starting to experience a real fuel panic. Kazakhstan suddenly shuts down the gasoline shop. Tokayev is tightening controls at the border, restricting the export of fuel from the country. Moscow has already managed to quarrel with almost its last partner, throwing around loud accusations. When arguments run out, the search for someone to blame begins. And this only confirms that Putin's situation is becoming increasingly critical. The Kremlin has reached a new level of absurdity. In Russia, Kazakhstan was suddenly accused of being involved in a Ukrainian attack. Drones targeting an oil refinery? The scandalous statement was made by Vyacheslav Kalinin, a deputy of the Saratov Regional Duma. Astana responded harshly and called for actions to be based exclusively on verified facts. According to the Russian deputy, the Ukrainian drone supposedly could not have covered such a distance to Omsk on its own, so the launch, he claims, could have taken place from the territory of Kazakhstan. Moreover, Kalinin stated that this issue now needs to be discussed with Astana. Kazakhstan's response was as tough as possible. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated that such accusations are completely detached from reality. Astana emphasized that the country's territory and infrastructure are never used for actions against other states. In addition, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs called on the media and all those spreading such statements to rely solely on verified facts.
Recently, certain media outlets have been spreading provocative statements about the alleged possible use of the territory of the Republic of Kazakhstan for launching unmanned aerial vehicles used in attacks on targets within the Russian Federation. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Kazakhstan responsibly states that these claims do not correspond to reality and are not supported by any evidence or facts.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs also stated that the Republic of Kazakhstan complies with international law and its international treaty obligations regarding the maintenance of international and regional security.
We emphasize that the Republic of Kazakhstan proceeds from the principle that its territory, airspace, and infrastructure cannot be used to carry out actions directed against other states. In this regard, we urge media representatives and others to rely solely on verified facts and to refrain from spreading false information.
While the Kremlin tries to find someone to blame, a new trend is gaining momentum in Russia itself, a real gasoline tourism boom. Residents of border regions are already actively discussing trips to Chinese Manchuria for cheap fuel. Dozens of offers are appearing in the chats of Chita and Zabaikalsk. Drive your car to China, fill up the tank, and come back. The prices look much more attractive than those in Russia. Diesel starts at 66 rubles per liter and 95-octane gasoline from 97 rubles. However, you'll have to pay intermediaries separately, and trying to take fuel cans out could lead to problems at Chinese customs. Meanwhile, Russians living closer to the Kazakh border are also going to their neighbors to fill up.
This is the real reason we came to Kazakhstan. Just to fill up the tank. 33 tenge divided by 6.5. Well, anyway, you did the math. It was 40 there.
I'm now in Uralsk, that's Kazakhstan, about 200 kilometers from Samara. I stopped at the gas station, and here are the current fuel prices.
We're at the first gas station in Kazakhstan. Now I'll show you the prices. The prices in tenge for 95 gasoline. That is approximately 55 rubles in our money.
But even in Kazakhstan, Russians have managed to cause trouble, creating a fuel shortage there too.
Unbelievable, we've come to this. There's no gasoline. Konchengil? Yeah, Konchengil. There are no gas stations between Gurubaital and Dokurkov. That's a stretch of about 260 kilometers. A car just pulled up, and some other guys came by too. The gas station isn't working. Almaty, Astana, the highway, people. These are the two main cities in Kazakhstan.
Against this backdrop, the authorities in Kazakhstan refused the Kremlin's request to supply 50 tons of automotive gasoline. As a humanitarian gesture, they stepped up the fight against smugglers trying to transport fuel into Russia. According to Deputy Finance Minister Ersan Berjanov, mobile teams are patrolling the border areas around the clock, inspecting vehicles for hidden fuel tanks not provided for by the factory design.
The overall aesthetic design. While conducting a thorough inspection of this bus, an extra auxiliary battalion fuel tank was found hidden inside. Could you tell me what the total capacity is? What is the price of the gasoline? During the comprehensive mechanical inspection of this specific Mercedes Sprinter vehicle, the technicians discovered that the fuel tank was noticeably enlarged beyond standard specifications. Upon further measurement and closer examination, it was confirmed to have a massive total capacity of 180 liters, which is significantly larger than what is typically found on a vehicle of this class and model. This vehicle has an enlarged fuel tank with a capacity of 100 liters. At the moment, this violation is being addressed. The fuel tanks are being removed.
And while the Kremlin continues to lose partners, Russian Z channels themselves are admitting the unpleasant reality. Putin's Russia has practically no allies left.
There are only 3 countries we can turn to. They are Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan. But that's not much. Not exactly strong allies.
Moreover, the most radical propagandists are already demanding that North Korea be officially made Russia's main ally and even admitted to the CSTO. It seems the Kremlin's list of friends is shrinking rapidly, and
Let's remember that Russia has 3 allies, the Army, the Navy, and North Korea. It wouldn't be a bad idea to admit the Koreans into the CSTO.
The turning point in the war, which experts have debated for so long, has now been officially recognized at the highest international level. On the sidelines of the NATO summit in Ankara, high-ranking officials of the alliance openly stated that the Ukrainian defense forces have completely seized the initiative, regained more territory than they lost, and have forced the Kremlin's army onto the defensive. A senior official of the alliance made this statement to journalists.
The fact is that at this moment, Ukraine has actually regained more territory than it has lost. These are tremendous successes on the front line. They managed to strike deep into enemy territory and send a very strong signal. And Russia essentially is on the defensive, she stated.
According to Western estimates, the USSR now has a golden window of opportunity of 6 to 9 months to make the most of this historic turning point, and to deliver a final defeat to Russia while the enemy is in panic, trying to adapt to the deep strikes by Ukrainian forces.
However, the official noted, NATO understands that Russia learns quickly from its mistakes. Russia learns just as quickly as the alliance does. Therefore, part of this period from 6 to 9 months is about understanding how quickly Russia needs to adapt its tactical and technical capabilities, she said.
The main triumph for Ukraine at the summit was the large-scale and fateful defense agreements that Volodymyr Zelensky concluded with key European leaders. As part of the unique drone deal format, Kyiv secured unprecedented contracts. The Dutch government has officially committed to providing Ukraine with massive military support totaling €9 billion through 2029.
As Zelensky reported, the document provides for cooperation in the field of security, defense industry, military expertise, cybersecurity, technology, research and development, as well as the exchange of experience.
Following Amsterdam, Estonia and Denmark have joined Ukraine in this crucial tech alliance. The agreement with Tallinn initiates the rapid deployment of new capacities for the production of air defense systems, ammunition, sensor-based early warning systems, and naval forces directly on the territory of both countries. Denmark has already signed its 9th static contract, gaining official access to Ukrainian weapon exports that have been proven in real warfare. Germany, Canada, and Norway are next in line.
This agreement is not only a path toward closer cooperation between our countries. It is also a step and a signal of trust. After all, we are signing such an agreement with a very close friend. And that means a great deal. Of course. We are also always grateful for your strong support, both military and humanitarian, as well as for your efforts aimed at consistently supporting Ukraine on our path to the EU and NATO.
Against this backdrop, even the Trump administration in Washington has been forced to finally take Ukraine's side. The American military is well aware that the US is currently lagging behind in the field of unmanned systems. The Pentagon is trying to catch up and adopt Ukraine's advanced experience. This makes the signing of the final contract with the White House inevitable. Trump is pragmatically betting on strength, and today all technological and military power is concentrated in Kyiv's hands.
Despite the fact that high-ranking Pentagon officials, in particular Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Army Secretary Dan Driscoll, have publicly praised Ukraine's drone capabilities, Washington is in no hurry to take advantage of them. As the article states, this puzzles the experts. I don't understand what is stopping us from taking advantage of this. I don't think there are any serious reasons, said Rebecca Heinrichs, senior fellow at the Hudson Institute think tank. Michael O'Hanlon from the Brookings Institution admitted that the situation simply puzzles him, since the U.S. has already sent its teams to Ukraine for on-site training.
While the Western world stands applauding Ukraine's grand successes, Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte directly addressed the citizens of the aggressor country with a stern call to use their brains and stay away from military enlistment offices.
Putin is willing to sacrifice his own citizens for the sake of war. Remember, you could become one of the 30,000 people this month or next who will die. Your president, Vladimir Putin, is ready to sacrifice you. So think carefully before joining the army.
The outcome of this diplomatic and military breakthrough is obvious. Kyiv is building a strategic network of defense giants with the wealthiest countries on the planet. Once again, Russia has launched a massive strike against Ukraine. Most of it was aimed at the capital. The Ukrainian retaliation did not take long to arrive. The strike was swift and deafening. Brave drones broke through holes in Russian air defenses and made for an explosive morning in the Nizhny Novgorod region.
When they hit, absolutely everything around us is just violently shaking. And that is exactly what it feels like.
The girls, impressed, captured a direct hit on the oil refinery in the city of Okstovo. The precision target was the crucial AVT-6 unit at the Lukoil facility. Nizhny Novgorod Nefteorgsynthez, which processes a colossal 17 million tons of oil per year, is a vital artery for supplying Putin's army. On the
night of July 2nd, as part of efforts to reduce the military-economic potential of the Russian aggressor, units of the Ukrainian Defense Forces struck the Lukoil oil refinery, Nizhny Novgorod Nefteorgsynthez, in the city of Kstovo, Nizhny Novgorod region, Russian Federation. A hit on the facility was recorded, followed by a fire on the premises. According to preliminary information, the ABT-6 primary oil processing unit was hit. The extent of the damage is being clarified.
For local residents, this morning was explosive. Social media exploded with panicked messages like "horror, it's scary to live," and footage of a massive glow over the city. Russians are beginning to understand firsthand what it means to wake up to the roar of engines and the thunder of explosions.
The object tumbled down into the private yard of a house. Several of the glass windows were severely damaged and broken. As for vehicles, preliminary reports indicate one fatality.
At the same time, a fiery greeting was sent to the temporarily occupied Berdyansk, where a substation at a gas station caught fire after a precise strike. And at the same time, things were heating up for the occupiers in the Zaporizhzhia, Luhansk, and Kharkiv regions, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine.
An enemy drone warehouse was also hit in the area of Kamenka, Zaporizhzhia region. In addition, a railway bridge was struck across the Siversky Donets River near Stanitsia Luhanska. The facility is used by the enemy for military logistics and the transfer of personnel, weapons, and material technical resources. An enemy command and observation post was also hit in the area of Olshany, Kharkiv region. Ukraine's defense forces will continue to systematically carry out measures aimed at ending the armed aggression of the Russian Federation.
And this is only the beginning of a large-scale hunt, because now a good half of all Russian territory is directly in the crosshairs. The reputable agency Bloomberg notes that Ukraine has massively expanded the range and intensity of its missile strikes. Just in the past week, the threat from the sky has paralyzed the Volga region, Astrakhan, the North Caucasus, as well as the Moscow, Vladimir, Tambov, and Oriel regions.
The agency points out that previously missile threat warnings mainly concerned Russia's border regions. However, this year, missile alerts have been declared in at least half of Russia's territory, where more than 70% of its population lives. Bloomberg notes that in attacks on Russia, Ukraine is increasingly relying on its own developments. It is supplementing its expanding fleet of strike drones with cruise missiles. Ukraine often tries to overload the Russian air defense system with drones so that cruise missiles can break through it. This is how Sam Cranny-Evans, an analyst at the British RUSI Center, explained Ukraine's tactics.
Realizing that retribution was inevitable, true paranoia began in Moscow. Yandex hastily blurred out the main buildings of the Russian Ministry of Defense on Frunzenskaya embankment in satellite images, and completely removed the outlines of the most important enterprises of the defense industrial complex from the maps. The occupiers naively think that if they erase their missile and space centers from the Russian search engine, nothing will hit them. But they forget one fatal detail. On the targeting screens of Ukrainian operators, all these secret targets are as clear as day. There's no point in hiding. Ukrainian vengeance will find everyone. What do you think about these events? Share your thoughts in the comments, leave a like, and stay up to date with the main news. There's more to come.